Welcome back to 1834 Restoration House. So last weekend we were out filming video and we passed a sign that said Cedar Falls Historic Park. Now, anything that says historic, you got me at historic, right? So we decided to try to find that and check it out. So we drove around several roads where we thought it was, and it turned out not to be there. And finally we came across the sign again, and that brought us here.
The rock shoals at Cedar Falls were used for hundreds of years by Native Americans as a hunting campsite and transportation ford to cross the Reedy River. Due to the elevation change in the river, generating water power was possible, and in the early 1800s, this site was used for Hudson Berry's enterprises. Berry built the small dam on the side channel of the river to feed the water wheel that powered his textile mill, grist mill, sawmill, and cotton gin. Their stone foundations still exist below and on the left at the edge of the river.
Here in the Old South, there's a lot of rivers, and many of them have cascades just like this one over here. So you can see that there's a big cascade and another cascade, and then over there right off the camera is another cascade. But this was perfect for water power used to power the mills. They had cotton mills, they had lumber mills, they had power generating stations, and all of those existed at this site at one time or another, thanks to the water power. Now what they did was they brought the water down from above through a flume. The flume went down that way, and down in that meadow behind us, which you can't see right now, was a mill.
Around 1910, the big dam across the entire river was built to produce electrical power for the Fork Shoals Mill, Dr. Ross's home and medical clinic 1 mile upstream. Dr. Ross's daughter, Kitty, recalls when, as a child, the electrical lights in their home would dim and flicker during the evening. This was the signal that the power plant was preparing to turn off the generator and for her family to light their oil lamps. From the round hole at the base of the dam, a 72-inch penstock iron pipe carried water supported by 26 rock and concrete columns. The water traveled 530 feet to the water-powered turbine at the base of the generator's concrete pier structure. Part of the penstock pipe ran underground and still exists. The turbine axle was connected to the generator axle at the top of the pier by large leather belts. The water exited the turbine into a concrete race that drained into the existing creek. The generator was placed on top of the 19-foot tall pier to keep it above floodwater level. Lawrence Armstrong remembers as a boy his father, William Henry Armstrong, working at the power plant. The turbine and the generator were inside a pole-frame building covered in galvanized metal sheeting. A machine shop was located inside the building that was used by the community. There was a grinding wheel that loggers used to sharpen axes and a drill press. Someone was on duty the entire time the plant operated, and the plant became a local gathering place for area residents. In the 1940s, the Fork Shoal Mills began buying its electrical power from Duke Power, and in 1950 the power plant was demolished.
You can tell by the enormous water power behind me here, they had all the power that they ever needed to run these mills. This interesting structure right here is all the remains of the outfall. That is the water that would have gone out of the factory or mill and back into the river. And you can see they built this thing out of ancient concrete. So it consists of gravel, sand, which is in great abundance around us, and probably some lime mixed in for strength. Now, they also used whatever they could find here. So they got some big rocks here. You can see a big piece of quartz right up there. And whatever this stuff is here. Now, let's go around the back side. I want to show you something real quick. You can see some layers there. It's kind of interesting. But there used to be an opening here, and after the mill was gone, for safety reasons, they came back and they plugged it up with concrete. But inside there is probably a pipe or something that goes back out to the river. Over here we have what remains of the foundation of the mill. It looks like they used granite and their own form of concrete, which again would be lime and sand and water. So there's one here, there's one here, and somewhere around here would have been the original pipe that came out of this outfall structure. Now you see the pillars. This is where they had a big pipe that went all the way back there, and it picked up water from above. That was before the water would cascade, so that water still had a lot of energy. Flows downhill, hits the mill, turns a wheel, and they use that to power whatever machinery that they used, be it electric generators, millstones for flour, or I believe that they also did some lumber here at one point in time. But sadly, that's all that remains of the mill. Here in South Carolina, there are architectural ruins all over the place, and some of them are in remarkably good condition. Unfortunately, the only thing left here is the actual masonry part of it.
For nearly 30 years, during the early development of the Fork Shoals community, the Cedar Falls Light and Power Company provided electricity. In 1905, shortly after the first wooden race was built, Clarence Williams, a young man of 17, began operating the power plant at this site.
One thing that makes me sad about South Carolina is there are a lot of people here who don't pick up their trash, and we see it everywhere we go. It's just trash on the ground, and South Carolina has such incredible natural beauty and so much history, and it's just really disheartening to see this laying around all over the place. When we first moved to South Carolina, we kept seeing signs all over the place for shoals this, shoals that, this shoals and that shoals, and we're finally wondering, what in the world is a shoal? Well, we looked it up. That is a shoal.
This is the money shot right there. Isn't that incredible? Thank you for coming along with us on this journey, and we'll see you in the next video. If you like these, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe. We'll see you later.